When you look at the financial advisor or the financial personality landscape, very rarely do you find a person or a personality who comes up with topics that nobody else has come up with before. There are rules of thumb that really are just rules of thumb because somebody said it and then the second person, third person said it and it becomes a rule of thumb. Some of them are great rules of thumb to have, but you also know that I don't believe in absolutes. So you'll see people who will post episodes and YouTube videos and reels about the perfect amount to spend on a house or why you shouldn't buy a house at all and why renting is the way to do it. You have people who would talk about the S&P 500 being the only investment that you need, and they didn't create that idea most likely. It's something that they read somewhere else, they believed in the philosophy, they adapted it, and they inserted it into their content. And one of the areas where you find that very frequently that isn't discussed that much is when to talk about money and how to talk about money with your family. So I can say that over the years, I have seen several financial advisors, including myself, adapt the philosophy and the mindset that when you have the opportunity to talk to your family about money, you should do so no matter what, right? Like how many opportunities do you have to have all the involved parties in a room and have a real conversation about finances? Not many, right? If you're like me and you have a ton of cousins and you have siblings and you have parents and aunts and uncles, we're not always in the same space. And when we are, there are certain things that you want to get hashed out as quickly as possible. One example, I have not talked about this on the podcast, but my grandmother, we've talked about the fact that she's not from this country. She's from Belize. And we all as a family, I mean, like almost 40 of us went to Belize this past spring. And while we were there, I was adamant about everybody who could apply for dual citizenship, applying for dual citizenship. And there was information that we needed from my grandmother, and there were steps that we needed my parents and her siblings to take in order for us, the second, or let's just say the third generation, to get citizenship through my grandmother, then my parents, and then so on and so forth. And I brought it up. Everybody kind of just looked at me like, okay, yeah, we'll get on it. And there was no action that was taken. But it wasn't just that experience. When I tell you I have over the years seen just dozens of people who have tried to talk to their family members, their siblings, their parents about money, and their cousins, anybody who's involved in the conversation or should be involved, they might do it around the holiday season and they come back saying it blew up in my face for reason XYZ. And to me, that brings to mind, I don't know if you're familiar with the quote, a wise man changes his mind sometimes, a fool never does. But that's what I think of when I just go year after year telling people, hey, are you going to be home for the holidays? Do your parents have a will? Do you know if they have long-term care insurance? If they don't, you need to talk to them while you're home for the holidays. And the number of times that hasn't worked out, it just puts me in a position where I don't want to be that foolish person who never changes his mind.